The 170th edition of the Royce Boys podcast starts right now.
Carolina basketball family is the strongest there's ever been, there ever will be.
Nate Humphrey hands King Rice the ball. Pushes into Hubert Davis. 8 seconds. Davis trying to get free. Over to Fox. Fox, baseline. Up for the shot. Good. Off the glass. Oklahoma calls timeout. But the game is over. The game is over. Carolina has upset number 1 Oklahoma. Been ready on his second attempt. That one is no good. They battle for it. Loose ball. Recovered by Benny.
With 20 seconds left to play. Goes back to Michael Jordan. Jumper from out on the left. Good! 63, 62, 13, 12, 11. Georgetown with one timeout. Brent Brown looking. Throw away to Worthy. 35. The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship. Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul.
Brown gets it into Williams. Comes Williams front court. Williams on the drive. Gets it back out the head. Long outside shot. Short rebound. It's over. And how about the Tar Heels? They are the national champions.
The Tar Heels are the national dadgum champions.
And that's what it takes when you big time games. You got to compete. You do it with your brain, and you got to do it with your heart too. And that's pretty doggone good.
From QCBroadcasting.com, this is the Royce Boys podcast with your host, Josh Marlowe. Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of the Royce Boys podcast. We are powered by Carolina Electrical Services. Josh and Anthony back with you in person. We're going to break down last night's 80-73 win for Carolina, which got them to 4-3 in the ACC and 9-5 overall. Before we get to that, just want to mention that as your host, I'm a little emotionally low, going through some trials and tribulations, but this is what sports do for me. They give you a chance to get away from everyday life. And
what a way to turn it.
And with Carolina winning last night, it makes it a little bit easier to come on here and talk about the Tar Heels. And look, we stressed in the preview, big week for Carolina. You got 2 winnable games at home, starting with the Demon Deacons. Wasn't pretty, as it hasn't been for Carolina all year long, but they made a lot of plays in the second half, shooting 55% from the field, the best shooting or the best half of any half so far this season, and they made the plays to get a big win at home.
I'm really glad, by the way, that this didn't turn into the emotional recollection hour that I thought it was going to right out of the gate there. But that was a great way to spin it, though. Yeah, I think this is a game that really, I don't know. I wouldn't say it made us all happy. I think it was definitely stressful. I think there was definitely some people that may have been a little bit angry and concerned at the first half, considering that it was Wake Forest. But we said this in the preview. This team has played everybody tough, no matter what number's next to their name, no number next to their name in ACC play. They've played everybody tough besides Georgia Tech. And that's exactly what Carolina got from this team. 2 guys really killed them, and it was their backcourt that really killed Carolina. But Carolina was able to weather the storm. They made a nice run to start the second half. They shot the ball extremely well, as you mentioned, in the second half. I mean, shooting 55%. That's something we probably haven't seen since Cam Johnson and Kobe White were still on this team. It felt good to continue to see progress for this team. You saw, I mean, even though they lost the game the other day against Florida State, you saw the progress. That first half was concerning because we thought, okay, they're taking a step back here. This is not looking good. The way they bounced back in the second half was huge. It was really big for this team to get this win because, as we mentioned, this is a big week for them. This was one of the games of the 2 that you felt you should definitely be able to win. With the schedule that is lying ahead of you, you need to be able to get these wins. Now it'll all come down to, can they take care of business against NC State? But they did it in this game, and they did it with the help of some freshmen, but also some guys that have been there for a couple of years as well.
Yeah, Caleb Love with his best game as a Tar Heel, 20 points, 7 of 12 from the field, 2 of 3 from behind the three-point line, gave you 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Off the bench, R.J. Davis continued his improved play, 13 points, 4 of 7 from the field, 5 of 6 from the foul line. So you got great play from your young backcourt. Armando Bacot carried your front court 18 points on 8 of 10 shooting, gave you 6 rebounds. Garrison Brooks, only 10 points on 3 of 11 shooting, but 4 of 6 from the foul line, 7 rebounds. So the guys that have been contributing to this team when they've won continue to do that. As overall, you put 4 guys in double figures. And Leaky Black with a sneaky good game, 8 points, 6 boards, 8 assists. Did all the little things you ask him to do that really, when he does those things, it makes Carolina a tougher team to beat. But a lot of things that Carolina did in this game that, they weren't exceptional on the rebound. They only out-rebounded Wake Forest 38-36, only 10 offensive rebounds and only 9 second chance points. They got outscored 18-9 in second chance points. If you usually read that number, you think Carolina's going to lose. They also gave up 13 made three-pointers and 38% shooting from behind the three-point line. Usually you read that number, you get beat. But the reason why they were able to negate all that, they forced 20 turnovers, turned that into 24 points, as opposed to only committing 12 turnovers, which Wake Forest only converted those into 15 points. 9-point difference right there. This is the reason why Carolina made up for a lack of defending the perimeter and a lack of being an aggressor on the offensive rebounding. So another example that this team is finding different ways to win, and as they're continuing to still put it all together pretty slowly.
Well, forcing turnovers was something that you talked about in the preview.
Yeah.
They needed to be able to do this against a team that was very similar to Carolina coming in, a team that, at times would be able to put things together, have success offensively, but they were being hindered by a lot of turnovers. And Carolina did what they had to do in this game, which was take care of the ball for the most part. 12 turnovers isn't too bad, especially for this team. And then you force the turnovers that allow you to score 24 points. That's huge because you talked about the second chance points. This is the thing that people have to realize about this too, and why this has been a real focus when we've talked about the offensive rebounding and the inability to finish with those second chance opportunities. Both teams had 10 offensive rebounds. Wake Forest outscored them in second chance points by 9.
Yep.
That shows you right there. Wake Forest was able to capitalize on the second chance opportunities that they get. That's one area where Carolina's really got to improve. But, you talked about coming in the turnovers. I talked about not Garrison Brooks. Armando Bacot needed to have a big game in this one, and he did. He had been relatively silent in ACC play, after a really, really good start to the season. Believe it or not, still led the team in scoring average coming in. Steps up when Carolina needs him to. This was a game that they were trailing at halftime. They just didn't look good. Put the ball inside. Armando Bacot started having success. 8 of 10 from the field in this one. Very efficient game for him as well. So he did everything that you needed to do. Even though he wasn't huge on the glass, 6 rebounds, not the greatest number in the world, still did everything that he could possibly do for you on the offensive end, and that was huge. But I think the main thing that we've got to talk about when we talk about this game is Caleb Love. This guy, so much criticism for him at the start of ACC play, at a conference play, just really wasn't living up to the billing. And that's the thing. When we say criticism, it was, for the most part, justified. This was not, somebody's got an agenda. They're trying to tee off on this guy. This guy came in with humongous expectations, very similar to what we saw from Cole Anthony. And the thought was he fits this offense a little bit better, but he'd really struggled out of the gate. Now he's starting to seem like he's getting into a rhythm. This game is really the culmination of that. And really, it just continues to show what type of player this guy is. After he drops 20, he comes back out and was once again last night shooting shots after the game's over, well past midnight, trying to make himself a better player. The guy is putting in the work to get better, and now it's finally starting to pay off. And it's a great thing to see because it's going to help this Carolina basketball team. And to be honest with you, it could be the biggest factor in determining what this Carolina team does the rest of the year, because we talked about it. Point guard's the most important position on the floor, and to have him going the way he is now, that could really help you out.
After the Miami game, Roy Williams made a comment saying that he's going to be a good basketball player. He just doesn't know when. I think you're starting to see it all come together for him in his own way. And look, it's not always going to be smooth. It's not always going to be pretty. He's going to make bad mistakes. He's going to commit bad turnovers. He's going to take bad shots. But when he puts it all together and he plays to the talent level that he possesses, he's going to be a difference maker for this team, and he'll be one of the best guards, not just in the ACC, but in college basketball. And so it's really good seeing him and R.J. Davis putting the thing together as they've needed to with the schedule about to start getting tougher. You got to, we've stressed stacking wins. They're starting to do that here as they've won as they won their fourth ACC game after starting 0-2 in the league. So a lot of positive things for Carolina, even though when you're watching it in the interim, it doesn't appear positive. They are taking steps in the right direction, and they've got a really good chance to capitalize on a really big week at home on Saturday. There's a good chance, as of right now, as we're recording, this game may not be played with State having COVID issues. But we're going to assume that the game's going to be played, and it's a big one for Carolina. You lost to State and Raleigh back in December. That loss resulted in a bunch of lineup changes the next time you went to Georgia Tech, where you ultimately got beat again. But NC State, since that win, they haven't really done a whole lot of anything. They're 6-4 overall. They're 2-3 in the ACC. After they beat Carolina, everyone thought this was a team that might factor into finishing in the top 3 in the conference. Heck, maybe even winning the conference because of how much the parity is in the league. But a lot of that talk has cooled down since then, with losses to Florida State by 32. You lost to Miami at home. You lost to Clemson in overtime. So this is another very winnable game for Carolina, and usually if Carolina loses one, tends to say they don't lose a second one.
I mean, I find it really hard if you're an expert, not even the people on this show, to pick against Carolina in this. They are easily the team with more momentum right now. Again, if you're wanting to take the analytical look at this NC State team, them along with Clemson, two teams that were at the top of the ACC, everybody was sitting there saying maybe these are the two teams that can sort of upset the apple cart from the preseason picks of Virginia, of Florida State, because they're off to great starts and they've got some decent wins. Both teams are now fading. NC State does not look anything like the team that we saw earlier. But, I mean, again, it's a rivalry matchup. So, again, this game, like we said it the first time, this game means more to them than it means to Carolina. Mm-hmm. It always will. So you've got to come in with the mindset that they're going to be ready to play in this game. And they're going to want to come in and sweep you. But this game is in the Smith Center. Carolina, look, even though they don't have the fans there, I think it's become evident over the last couple of games. They are playing much better at home than they have played on the road. So I think that could be a really big advantage for the Tar Heels in this one. And again, I feel like this is a game where you're going to take a look, see can the momentum keep up for Caleb Love and RJ Davis. They've really established a little bit of a rhythm here. Carolina needs them to continue to play well, really just need their freshmen overall to continue to play well. And, again, I think one of the things that we've seen here in these wins recently is you need at least one, if not two of your big guys to step up and have big games. We saw it the other night. It was Garrison Brooks with 10 points, solid night, but Armando Bacot stepped up and had the big game for you. Will there be somebody that can step forward and be able to do that in this game? Because remember, who was the guy from them that missed the first game? Funderburk. Inside, they're going to get him back. They didn't have him in the first game, and they still found a way to beat you. With him on the floor, they're not going to be probably as lethal as they were from the outside in the first game, but they could cause some more problems for you on the defensive end than they were able to cause you inside. And the other, I think when you look, I talked about one of the two, if not, one or two of the big guys need to step up. Garrison Brooks was labeled as the next guy to come in and kill NC State. He did not have a good game in the first game of the season against the Wolfpack. Can he bounce back? Those are some of the storylines I'm going to be looking forward to in this game.
Yeah, and you go back to the first game, Carolina only shot 44% from the field, 17% from three, missed 5 foul shots, turned the ball over 18 times. So you can look at the stat line and see what you got to do better. You got to shoot the ball better, and you got to protect the ball better. State's going to come out with a full court press. They're going to trap. They're going to run and jump. They're going to do a whole lot of things to get you rattled, and they did that a lot in the first matchup in Raleigh, and it's a big reason why they were able to beat Carolina. I think Carolina's better prepared to handle all those things this time around. The first time, they just weren't ready for that kind of pressure, that kind of intensity that comes in these types of games. Now they're more comfortable. They understand how to play really ACC games now at this point with the youth. When you get 6 freshmen in your rotation, they're understanding how to play in this league, how to win in this league, and that's a big reason why I think they're going to win on Saturday. This team is maturing. They're getting more experience with their younger guys. You're getting consistent play out of Armando Bacot. Garrison Brooks has given you more than he's given you enough right now to keep you above water. Anthony Harris has came back. He's provided a lift. Even though he played 6 minutes or not, he still impacted the game in those 6 minutes. You're starting to see it all come together. And Roy Williams isn't going to lose NC State twice in a season. And I think this team, while they don't talk about it, 2-0 this week is a big deal for them. You get